Shop Macy's Backstage today for amazing deals on everything you need for summer. Get low prices every day at Macy's Backstage. Find a store near you at macy'sbackstage.com. Off price, on trend, arriving daily.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are back in action tonight after an off day on Monday. They're in Philadelphia for the first game of a 3-game series. The Phillies have the best record in the major leagues at 58-32. The Angels lost at home Monday night to the Texas Rangers. Former Clipper star Paul George will wear number 8 when he suits up for the Philadelphia 76ers. George chose number 8 to honor Kobe Bryant. George is unable to wear his normal number 13 jersey. That number, worn by Hall of Famer Wilt Chamberlain, was retired by the Philadelphia franchise in 1991. Chamberlain plays 7 of his 19 NBA seasons with Philadelphia. The LA Sparks are at home tonight against Minnesota. The Sparks have only one win since June 9th. Chicago Sky forward Angel Reese set a WNBA record with 13 consecutive double-doubles. She broke the record held by former Sparks star Candace Parker. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising@KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your black.
Funniest person in the Wayans family is my mama. People that lost your mama, you are a part of an elite gang, the Dead Mama Gang. Gang, gang! I said, Mama, you made 5 millionaires, and you only made 1 crackhead. I said, woman, your crackhead to millionaire ratio is unparalleled for a black woman in America.
Pleased to be joined by comedian, actor, screenwriter, and producer Marlon Wayans. I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm pleased to have him on this program. Marlon, how you living? How you living?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing remarkably well, and I'm pleased to have a few moments with you. Let me start with this. You and I have met, of course, a number of times, but I know Damon and Keenan much better. But I have always, and I say this to Damon and Keenan all the time, I am always in awe of your parents. And what they did, man. I mean, all of you, the entire family, just remarkably talented. But to see all that in one family.
There's something about some behind whooping that makes you stay in line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I think a good old fashioned, a well put together, crafted spanking can really help. Help keep you in line.
No, I get it. I'm one of 10. I know that story all too well. I'm one of 10 myself, so I know that story quite well. But every time I talk to
10 kids,
No, I'm not.
I got no time for. It's shorthand. I gotta spank you. I can't sit and have long Brady Bunch talk to you. I gotta spank you.
There you go.
Shorthand.
There you go. It's shorthand, and it worked remarkably well for your family and for mine. But every time I see Damon and Keenan, I always find my way in some conversation with them about your parents, because I am just in awe of what they procreated and all the talent in that one family. So let me just ask you right quick. Tell me, we played the clip a moment ago. You mentioned your mom in a funny sort of way, but just tell me for a moment about your mom. Tell me about your dad, man.
I mean, my mother was bitingly hilarious. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She could break you down like nobody else. My mother was like the Terminator. She walked in the room and immediately sees everything that's wrong with you. Just in case she needs to talk about you, she's seeing everything. Then my mother could hold court. She could talk to you for hours. Your ear would be bleeding. And she was just full of love.
Yeah.
My mama was full of love. I never, even when she was angry, I always knew my mama loved me. And I think my dad, he was a disciplinarian, especially when we were younger. But as he got older, I found him to be really silly. And, he was such a good person. They were good people. My parents didn't do drugs. My mother barely drank. My father, he would drink his liquor, but for the most part, he was a happy drunk. And, they were just spiritually, my father taught us God, and my mother enforced God as well in the household. And, I think we just all grew up to be good people. They challenged us to be good people. Never mind artists. They didn't raise us to be comedians.
Right.
That would be Keenan.
Yeah.
My parents raised us to be good people.
Yeah. I'm asking this only because I've read your post and followed you, and I've actually marveled, Marlon, at how open you've been, how transparent you've been about your healing and about your trauma. And I just literally buried my father about 6 weeks ago, and so I'm still processing. I appreciate that. Just processing my way through that. But at some point, all of us has to do that dance with mortality. At some point, we're gonna lose our parents, and you have been, particularly for a comedian, you've been pretty open about your own journey. And I wonder if you might just say a word about how you've been navigating that loss and the pain, the healing, the grief. What say you about that part, Marlon?
It really teaches you grief. Really, I think there's good grief. In my special good grief. That's why I called it good grief, because I lost like 57 people that I loved, including my parents, and I was broken. I just didn't. It's funny. My mother's death broke me it shattered me into like 1,000 pieces, and my father's death, I put myself back together. And it was funny because honoring both of them, what I learned in this journey is you got to pour back in to you and the things. If you want to honor your parents, and when they're gone, pour into the things that they always wanted you to pour into. For me, I pour into my family. I've never had so many gatherings as I do now. They left us this big divots, and I just pour our family into that. And I got all these nephews and nieces and, and cousins, and I just make sure I bring us all together and I celebrate life while we're here like they used to. And I think the way to get through grief, I think you gotta definitely stay in therapy. I do therapy sometimes 2 times a week with two therapists at one time. Because I think as black folks, we think holding on to everything and being tough, but nah, man, sometimes you got to let it out. You got to let it, you got to cry, and for me, my greatest therapy has been the stage. The fact that I could go on a stage, I cry more on stage than I do in therapy.
And what's that like? What's that like? What's that like when you're on stage and you are ostensibly supposed to be making all the rest of us laugh, which you do quite well, but your job is to make us laugh and you start crying? Like, what's that moment like?
It's beautiful, man, because the audience, I think what they see is that, oh, he's human.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this guy is up here cracking these jokes, but man, he's hurting, yet he's still showing up to crack these jokes, and he's still embracing life and life's journey, and he's hurting. I, too, can do that. Maybe when I'm hurting, I could find a laugh that helps rescue me. I could look at the world and look at my life and go, what's funny about this situation? And then I don't hurt that hard, because depression, a good joke can rescue you from a sad place.
Oh, yeah. Nope. I think people respond. You nailed it, man. People respond to your vulnerability. They respond to your transparency, your openness. And I said this the other day to some friends of mine, and I say it again now, and I believe this with every fiber of my being, whether you're a talk show host or a comedian, whatever it is in life you do, You have to, when you communicate with other people, they have to find a way to situate their humanity in whatever it is you're presenting. And when you're on stage cracking jokes and making them laugh, what they're experiencing in that moment, what you're giving them is a way, Marlon, for them to situate their own humanity in your presentation on stage, the joke that you're telling. And that's the sweet spot, right? When they can situate their humanity in whatever you're giving them. We're just getting started in conversation with Marlon Wayans. His new comedy special is called Good Grief. We'll get to that. And some other stuff when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
If you're an adult in need of an accredited high school diploma, the Los Angeles Public Library can help. You could earn one for free in as few as 5 months, online with 24/7 access. You also get a personal academic coach, plus special training focused on 9 in-demand industries, as well as a resume and cover letter to advance your career. Visit the website at lapl.org/diploma. That's lapl.org/diploma.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-973-3083. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-973-3083 now to secure your 1904p $20 gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-973-3083.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces pass and I'm homebound. Staring blankly ahead, just making my way through the crowd. And I need you, and I miss you.
All right, Marlon Wayans, let's go there. I cannot hear this song on the radio or anywhere and not think of White Chicks, and I was floored last night preparing for our conversation today when I realized it's been 20 years since White Chicks came out.
Yeah, man. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
It ages well. It's funny because when that movie first came out, we got killed with the reviews. Man, they were not kind at all. And then 20 years later, you know, people really embraced what we were saying and what we did back then, and what the brilliance of that movie was. And New York Times recently did an article about it. And you know, I always think our humor sometimes is so it could be aggressive and biting, and so it's kind of like a wine that has to open up. Ours had to open up for 20 years before you appreciate it, and that's why a lot of stuff we've done is classic, because it's stuff that will always be relevant. You know what I mean? And we do it in a way that's multifaceted, and it's not just one level. White Chicks was really a gender swap movie. White Chicks was really a movie that was a situation comedy, but it had this social, political element to it in terms of the joke and the joke telling. And we Wayans we are equal opportunity offenders. Everybody got it.
I can say amen to that. I can say amen to that. Let me just ask you, though, because, again, this is getting good for me. I love laughing and I love learning at the same time, and you're good at doing both. So when you say that you got killed by the critics, I remember that. I was around then, and you did. Y'all got killed when this movie came out by the critics. And I'm curious because people are listening right now, and I think the answer that you give me might be both instructive and informative for people who need to hear this in their own lives right now. So what did you learn, Marlon, looking back on that, about putting forth your own version of artistry, having it bashed initially, but then over time it becomes a sort of a comedy classic? What did you learn about people not receiving what you put out in the way you intended for them to receive it when you put it out?
Two things. One is trust your instincts, right? As an artist, we have instincts. We have our own experience of life and artistry, and we get to express it, and you got to trust your instincts. And then you have to, two, it's not about the critics, because that's subjective points of view. Everybody has a subjective point of view, so everybody's going to have their opinions. But just because you're a critic or anointed a critic, you're just one voice. That you don't represent everybody. And the truth of us is, why, and I won't say we're critic proof. I respect critics. I respect their opinions. I respect, there's a reason that tastemakers, but I also understand the audience. And the audience, at the end of the day, they are the final judge and jury. And for us, the audience loves what we do. You can always throw on something Wayans and laugh. I don't care if it's in living color. You can put on White Chicks. You could put on Wayans Brothers. You could put on Mice and Kids. You can put on Scary Movie. You could put on Don't Be a Menace. Any of the old movies, Little Man, White Chicks, classics. Because what we did was create laughter that generations to come can watch, and they pick it up like it's a brand new movie. Like, oh my God, you can introduce it to your children, right? And so for us, that's the kind of humor we wanted, was long-lasting humor that's always going to be relevant, and that's always going to make people feel good when they watch something Wayans. Same with stand-up, right? Over the time, you get better. I look at my Wokish, my first stand-up comedy special, and I look at what my last one, Good Grief, is, and you can see the elevation and the growth, because as an artist you grow, as a person you grow, and as you start doing these things now, you're hitting the bullseye more. Now you understand the target a lot better. So as good as Good Grief is, which is on Amazon Prime right now, check it out. My new hour is for my Wild Child tour, which I'm starting in September, is even better than Good Grief.
Yep. I want to talk about Good Grief and Wild Child, the tour, in a second here. The article that Marlon referenced a moment ago, I actually read that in preparation for our conversation in the New York Times. If you want to read it, it's actually a fascinating piece. It's called White Chicks at 20, Comedy Beyond the Pale. White Chicks at 20, Comedy Beyond the Pale. The subtitle, The Wayans Brothers' Subversive Comedy is Smarter Than You Remember. The Wayans Brothers' Subversive Comedy is Smarter Than You Remember. You can find it in the New York Times. The author of that article, if I can say it, is Robert Daniels. Robert Daniels, find that New York Times piece and read it. But it's fascinating to see his critic, his review rather, his thoughts about it 20 years later, being a comedy that was much smarter than we all recall. So I recommend you to read that piece in the New York Times. You mentioned In Living Color, and I want to go there because, again, just prepping for our dialogue, In Living Color premiered 35 years ago. Almost 35 years ago. In Living Color premiered, and again, to your point about all the stuff that the Wayans have given us, you can put on now and still laugh. Indeed, we do. I see In Living Color in reruns all the time. It's as funny now as it was then. But take it back 35 years and tell me what you were thinking watching your brothers do what they did in the way they did it on In Living Color.
I couldn't wait till it was my turn, man. I watched them. watching my brothers do it. I was just sitting there going, oh, how blessed am I that I get to be a young man, a young teenager running around that set, learning how my brothers put together jokes and created great characters and put together this classic television show. For me, it was school, man. And, you know, I knew it was special when I saw I was at the taping of the pilot. And I was like, man, I ain't seen nothing this funny in a long time. I don't think I ever have. That was and I went to college, back to high school, and I was telling all my friends about it. And then it finally got picked up when I was in college, and I was at Howard University. And y'all gotta understand, that show was so big that on Sundays at 8 o'clock, everybody, the campus, stopped what we was doing.
Yeah.
To go watch in Living Color so we could talk about it on Monday. And I remember I was a Living Color's brother, and the block was hot. And, you know, I'm just blessed, man. I've had a storied existence, man, and God is so good.
Yeah, that he is all the time, as we say, all the time. So tell me.
I'm really on a mission right now to bring back that type of humor. You know, I'm on a mission right now. I think the world needs a lot more Wayans. Yeah. I feel like people aren't laughing enough. We're not making laughter light of each other's differences. We're not doing it the way we used to. Everybody's so sensitive. We forgot how to laugh. And so for me, that's why I'm on tour like I am. That's why I picked the subject matters that I picked.
Right.
And that's why I stay in the lab creating, because I'm going to bring that back in a big way.
When you say that kind of comedy and that kind of humor, I think I get what you mean, but unpack that for me, Marlon.
Where you can find laughter in some of the inappropriate things that you're not supposed to laugh at nowadays. They make it so taboo, this whole cancel culture. And here's the thing, it's not real, right? This is all a facade. This is what, ever since social media happened, everybody has a voice and everybody has an opinion. But most of those people on social media that have these really hard opinions, that say this negative stuff, they're not even people from our country. They're not even people that's real. These are bots from other countries. These are bots with agendas that are trying to influence our society, and they have. This social media has affected the media. The media now picks up what social media picks up, and then that informs all the executives to be scared. And so they're not spending money. Everybody's thinking that people are sensitive. I'm going to tell you, as a joke scientist, I'm on stage every weekend saying the craziest, darkest stuff. And you know what I find? The audience still likes to laugh. You guys may not understand it. You may not know how to tell a joke. I do, right? When they go, you can't do white chicks now, white chicks too nowadays. No. You can't. I could, because I'm the guy that did it in the first place. We know what the hell we doing. Stay away from the jokes, put the jokes down, and give them back to the professionals. And everybody needs to put social media into perspective, and the media needs to stop picking that up and stop informing our society that we are a bunch of scared of people that can't laugh anymore, because that's not the truth.
Used the word dark a moment ago. I was just reading a piece a few weeks ago about, and I've read a number of these pieces of late, critics who are suggesting that comedy right now is, in fact, too dark. How would you respond to those critics who say comedy is just too dark, stand-up in particular?
I don't think it's dark enough.
Wow.
And I don't think, because it needs to, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I've learned? That humor, real humor, has to be dark.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to go into dark places to find light. That is my job as a comedian. Like a fireman has to go into a burning building to rescue lives. Like a policeman has to go in a shootout to save the day. This is what comedians do. We go into the darkest places of life, politics, our own deep-seated pain, our issues, our dark past, and our imagination of the worst-case scenario, and we're going there because we're going in there to find this elixir, and it's called laughter. So don't be mad at me for going into the dark places that everybody else is afraid to go into, to go find that laugh. That is my job. And I won't let anybody tell me, don't go into that dark cave, it's too dark. No, that's why I need to go swim there. There's some light in there. You just don't see it.
No, I ain't mad at you. You said don't be mad at you. I'm not. I love what you're doing. Tell me, I got about 3 minutes left here, 3 or 4 minutes. My time is getting away, and I've enjoyed this immensely. Tell me about Good Grief on Amazon Prime.
Good Grief, man, is a wonderful journey. I think it's more than comedy. I like to look at the stage and things I'm doing. I like to bring all that I am as an artist into my performances. You know, I'm a guy that's from the old school. I just started stand-up comedy about 12, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I do characters, you know, I'm a showman. There's so much that you get to see in this hour and 7 minutes, and the vulnerability and the truth. And I think it's important for people to watch this, because at some point, this is a universal theme. Everybody in their life, you're going to deal with grief at some point. Now, this could prepare you for it, or this can allow you to look back at something an experience you went through and go, wow, that was beautiful and twisted and crazy. And I can't believe I'm laughing like this, and I can't believe I cried like that. I think for me, I love telling jokes, but I also love leaving, touching spirit, and leaving a little bit of something for people to think about. I don't just want to change your mood. I like to help enhance your life. And so Good Grief is that journey. And my new tour right now, Wild Child, I go deeper, I go darker, I get crazier, and it gets more beautiful. So make sure y'all check me on tour, Wild Child Tour. Go get your tickets. You go to my website, Marlon Wayans Official, and get tickets, or go to Ticketmaster or whatever you want. StubHub, I don't care. Go get your tickets. It's a theater tour, so it's going to sell out soon. So make sure y'all get your tickets now. Get them early. Don't wait.
Got less than 2 minutes here. Let me close with this question. I could have asked this earlier, but I again want to follow you as I have in this conversation, Marlon. When you consider your screenwriting and your acting and all that you did before you decided to do stand-up, it begs the obvious question: why, after all that, try stand-up?
It's funny. As I get older, I say God a lot.
Yeah.
Because I know how tethered we are in this journey. Everything is God. Everything is purpose. Everything is supposed to happen the way that happens for every individual person. In my individual life, I always was scared to do stand-up for 2 reasons. One was because, you know, my brothers were so good at it, and my sister, and in stand-up, everybody tells stories of their childhood, and I'm like, well, by the time I come along, these 5 Negroes can't tell all the stories. I ain't got nothing left to say.
Yeah.
And what I learned as an artist is yes, I still have something to say, because I have to tell them about my experience of growing up in the house, and it's different than everybody else's. And yeah, we know the same characters, but some of us know them differently. Those are characters from their age, and this is guys from my age, my era. And so I learned that, so I was afraid of it for that reason. I was also afraid to not do well. I was scared, because as an actor, you don't have to deal with the audience. You don't have to deal with the fear of, as a writer, you don't have to deal with the fear of an audience judging you. You could just go and create and perfect it, and then you give it to them. Stand-up is every joke, every moment is sink or swim. Every moment is you load in the gun and you could shoot your hand off. Every joke you tell. And what I learned was, after repeatedly doing it, is that I have the confidence now to be a writer and a performer right there in your face, and I'm not afraid to fail. There is no failure. My instincts are so good that, wait till I tell y'all this, stop! And I'm just getting really nice at it. And I was always scared to get great at stand-up, because I didn't know. It's funny. I've been a star for 30 years, right? But in order to get to superstardom, I said I have to learn something else. I have to break myself down and get better. And that's why I did stand-up, because I want to be a superstar. Stand-up is the thing that I was missing. I'm
glad you pushed past the fear. Good Grief is on Amazon Prime. The Wild Child Tour is popping now. Everything can be found at Marlon Wayans Official. Marlon, good to have you on, my friend. All the best to you, sir.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man. You stay strong.
Good to talk to you.
Likewise. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Harvey Weinstein is scheduled to be back in a New York City courtroom today as prosecutors seek a retrial on rape and sex assault charges. A September retrial date could be set. However, prosecutors are also looking into more sexual misconduct allegations against Weinstein that could possibly mean more charges. President Biden is getting support from the Congressional Black Caucus amid growing calls to drop out of the 2024 presidential race. Biden joined a call with black lawmakers Monday night. Some participants described Biden as clear, coherent, concise, and committed, with one calling talk of removing him from the ticket ridiculous. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Shop Macy's Backstage today for amazing deals on everything you need for summer. Get low prices every day at Macy's Backstage. Find a store near you at macy'sbackstage.com. Off price, on trend, arriving daily.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are back in action tonight after an off day on Monday. They're in Philadelphia for the first game of a 3-game series. The Phillies have the best record in the major leagues at 58-32. The Angels lost at home Monday night to the Texas Rangers. Former Clipper star Paul George will wear number 8 when he suits up for the Philadelphia 76ers. George chose number 8 to honor Kobe Bryant. George is unable to wear his normal number 13 jersey. That number, worn by Hall of Famer Wilt Chamberlain, was retired by the Philadelphia franchise in 1991. Chamberlain plays 7 of his 19 NBA seasons with Philadelphia. The LA Sparks are at home tonight against Minnesota. The Sparks have only one win since June 9th. Chicago Sky forward Angel Reese set a WNBA record with 13 consecutive double-doubles. She broke the record held by former Sparks star Candace Parker. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Around here, we don't believe in victimhood. We believe in raising our voices, amplifying black voices in the climate conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. Right now, make your garden pop for summer with savings on Miracle Grow 25 quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii while supplies last.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Knox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Knox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
To find out how to get Knox 47 for free, call now. 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now with Dorsey Nunn. Just had a great conversation with Marlon Wayans. In case you missed it, check out the podcast. That guy's funny. Love me some Marlon Wayans. On the B side of this hour, as promised, a dialogue with the founder of Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. His name is Dorsey Nunn. Mr. Nunn also has a new book out called What Kind of Bird Can't Fly? A memoir of resilience and resurrection, with a foreword by Michelle Alexander, author herself of the classic text, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness. Dorsey Nunn has a fascinating backstory, which I'll ask him to share in just a moment after I welcome him to this program. Dorsey Nunn, how are you today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing all right. In fact, I think I'm doing great.
I think you're doing great, too, and I'm glad to have you on this program. Let me start with this. Tell me about Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. Then I want you to share one more again, the Dorsey Nunn backstory. But tell me first again about Legal Services for Prisoners with Children.
The legal story about Legal Services for Prisoners with Children, it was started about 35 years ago. And what it was an opportunity to start defending women who were in prison, because to the most part, some of the first questions that was fundamentally different when they started doing mass incarceration of women was what's going to happen to our babies. And some of the organization, some parts of the organization was writing manuals. And one of the manuals that we sent the most out of is the Incarcerated Parents Manual, that actually gave women advice about what to do with their children when they were in the custody of the state. The other parts of it was how to actually get a divorce. The other parts of the questions centered around women is that we then took out, did legislation that helps stop shackling pregnant women. We sued for inadequate medical care in women institutions, and then we went on to ultimately sue to end long-term solitary confinement in a prison called Pelican Bay. We also have under this umbrella something called All of Us or None, which is an organization of formerly incarcerated people that's actually fighting for the full restoration of civil and human rights of incarcerated people and formerly incarcerated people.
On the cover of this book, What Kind of Bird Can't Fly? A Memoir of Resilience and Resurrection, Dorsey Nunn is wearing a cap that says All of Us or None. That's the cover photo on the book. He just described what that program is all about. Let me tell you why I started with having Dorsey Nunn tell us about the work of Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. I started there because I want you to hear the work he is doing now and has done for 35 plus years. That's what he's done for the last 3 decades plus. But here's what happened in his life before that. Let me just read a couple sentences from the book, and then ask Dorsey to inform us a bit more about what I want to share. When Dorsey Nunn shuffled, shackled like a slave into the California state carceral system at age 19, he could barely read. While caged, he received an education he never could have anticipated. His first lesson, prison had a color scheme, and it didn't match the larger society. On the inside, guards stoked racial warfare among prisoners, while on the outside, the machinery of the criminal legal system increasingly targeted poor black and brown communities with offenses, real or contrived. Nunn emerged from San Quentin after 10 years behind bars, radicalized by his experience and emboldened by the militant wisdom of the men he met there. And then he poured his heart and mind into liberating all those he left behind, building a nationwide movement to restore justice to millions of system-impacted Americans. So you heard first what he's been doing for the last 3 decades, but that is informed by what happened prior to. Don't tell me that any particular chapter of your life is the last chapter of your life. I love what Dorsey Nunn is doing and has done for decades now, but it's that backstory of where he started that always gets me. So tell me a bit more, Dorsey, about that backstory, man.
Hey, the backstory was I walked in by the time I got tried, I walked into prison at the age of 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the backstory was that, I was struggling with an education.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, really educated. In fact, the first chapter of my book is called Innocence Unavailable and Guilt Not Required.
Mm-hmm.
Because like at being a black person in this society, I don't necessarily think that we ever should assume that we have the presumption of innocence.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first moved into Menlo Park, one of the first things that happened was my parents was walking me to school. They was walking me to school not because they thought I was had the inability to find my way home. They was walking me to school because, like, when we initially moved into the neighborhood, Menlo Park, that 25% of the people, white people, fled immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that presumption of innocence wasn't there at the beginning. When I went into the prison system, I went into the prison system with an inadequate education. That's in part based on white flight at the earlier stages of my life, because it also helped collapse or make the educational system inferior, because they were struggling with how do we replace teachers, how are teachers showing up in our schools, how do they have culturally appropriate teachers being there. And that was unavailable. In fact, I was struggling probably at the age of 20, 21, and I was, struggling with reading Louis L'Amour, cowboy books, girly magazines, and anything else that I can actually struggle through. I needed a whole bunch of pictures, And one day when I was walking out of one of my homeboys that I grew up with, that was also in prison. He seen me with a Louis L'Amour book, and he asked me, was I studying to be a cowboy? And it was like, it was a rhetorical question. Was like, humorous in many respects. And when he seen that I couldn't really read that well, he started taking me out to the yard to actually read to him. And the books that he was giving me was different from the books that I had previously been reading or looking at the pictures of. So it's like, I was reading The Wretched Earth. I was reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. I was reading books about, Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver.
Sure.
I was reading, Donald Cornforth, and that's what he was teaching me how to read. But while he was teaching me how to read, the other thing that was happening was that I was questioning what I was reading to him because he had already read the books, And at the period of time that I went in to prison, which was in 72, 73, and some of those other years, it was the most violent years in California prison history, and probably in the history of the United States. Because during the period of time that I was there, I got there right after the arrival. When I arrived, I got there shortly after Johnson Jackson had shot up or got killed in the Marin County shootout. George Jackson was killed in San Quentin, and Rachel McGee was shot with Jonathan. It was the Attica Rebellion and a number of rebellions that was taking place across the United States. Across the country, right? And in fact, when Rachel McGee got strong enough to say what had occurred with him, he defined what his act wasn't like outraged, incarcerated person. What he said that it was slave rebellion. And in fact, the thing that I'm working on now, because what's going to appear on the ballot, probably in November, is a constitutional opportunity to change the Constitution to remove the remnants of slavery out of our California Constitution.
Hold that
But
thought.
anyway,
Hold that thought 1
sorry.
second. No. I didn't want to interrupt you, man. You on a roll. I want to talk about that ballot proposition potential being on the ballot this year. His name is Dorsey Nunn. When we come forward, I'm going to read just a couple words from the foreword that Michelle Alexander wrote for Dorsey Nunn's book, give you a sense of what she thinks of Dorsey Nunn. But we'll hear more from Dorsey Nunn himself when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it's gonna happen without you.
Have you been a victim of discrimination at a private business, by a landlord while seeking housing, by an employer, or by an academic institution? If so, the LA Civil Rights Department may be able to help. Please contact us at CRE@lacity.org or call 213-978-1845. Again, 213-978-1845 or visit laisforeveryone.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text LION to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text LION to 42424. That's LION to 42424.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It does indeed with Dorsey Nunn, author of the book, What Kind of Bird Can't Fly? A memoir of resilience and resurrection. I can't do justice to this book or to the life and legacy ongoing of Dorsey Nunn in 30 minutes, but I want to just give you a sense of what you're going to get when you get inside this book. This is just the first couple sentences of the foreword to the book, written by the brilliant Michelle Alexander, author of the book, The New Jim Crow. Toni Morrison once said, just remember that your real job is that if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else, close quote. As far as I know, Toni Morrison never met Dorsey Nunn, but I can say without hesitation that Dorsey has been living for decades according to the ethical code that she described. It's a code that values what you do more than what you say, and that insists on leaving no one behind. It's a code rooted in a very simple truth. All of us deserve freedom, dignity, and power All of Us or None. You heard Dorsey say earlier, that's one of their programs, right? All of Us or None. Tell me briefly here, my time's running, Dorsey, where and how that spirit of being free and freeing others, of having power and empowering others, where's that come from for you?
Where it comes from for me was that the brothers on the yard, when I was in DVI and they was having educational PE classes, political education, and when they was teaching me how to read and do all the rest of that stuff, for the price of my education, they extracted a promise. The promise that they extracted was to return to my community an asset instead of a liability. You know, that's not what the guards was doing when they were shooting tear gas on me, pointing guns at me, chaining me like a slave. The brothers on the yard were saying that someday, you know, they would see me as a young person and that I ultimately would be released. And they start actually pumping in tools that I could use. So, like, a lot of times when people are talking to me, if I talk to them long enough, I can hear in their language my work. So when they talk about the prison industrial complex, which is an obscure term that was in the Mike Davis book, me, Angela Davis, Ruthie Gilmore, Dylan Rodriguez, George Galvez, and a number of other people taught the nation how to put it into that language. When they talk about ending structural discrimination, I was one of the people that initiated the campaign to ban the box on job applications because what they were doing was asking the question, have you been convicted of a felony, before they actually figured out that we could have had some talented, we could have had more talented than other people that was actually applying for the job, and they was actually practicing structural discrimination. It wasn't something that we imagined. It was something that was appearing on job applications, something that was appearing on housing applications, and is still appearing on housing applications, stuff that was appearing on public benefits, the FAFSA application all around us, and we still engaged in that particular type of work because, like, one of the presumption was that we didn't have a presumption of innocence. The other thing that's really apparent is that you don't have the presumption of rehabilitation based on the structural discrimination that they have in place when we are released.
No, the point
Am I talking too fast?
No, you're doing fine, brother. I'm just running out of time here. Nobody can talk faster than I can when I want to, or have to, or need to. So no, you're doing just fine. When we come forward in our remaining moments, we'll talk about that ballot initiative that Dorsey's working on here in California, and that title, what kind of bird can't fly? We'll let Dorsey Nunn unpack that for us as well when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Securing your firearms protects lives. Pick up your free gun safety lock at select LA County libraries and hospitals. Learn more about other gun safety measures you can take to keep our families and communities safe. Visit lacountygunsafety.org or call 1-833-540-0473 for more resources on gun safety. Together, we can save lives.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
It goes fast, Dorsey Nunn. It goes fast. I got 3 minutes left, and I want to cover 2 questions in 3 minutes. First of all, tell me about that ballot initiative that you're working on here in California.
It's called Proposition 6, and one of the things that it's going to do is remove the vestiges of slavery out of the California Constitution. So it's like not only was I a prisoner, that they enslaved me because they labor extracted through force and coercion is slavery. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we want to do is make slavery illegal in California. And the other thing that we want to do is give black and brown people an opportunity to actually vote on the issue of slavery. You know, so like this is something that can drive younger people and particularly black and brown people to the polls to actually to work on the question, to actually explore the question through the democratic process of how do we actually remove ourselves from slavery, distance ourselves from chattel slavery.
In California, you'll be hearing more about the Proposition 6 as we move through this year. Trust and believe. Once again, it's Proposition 6. Stay tuned for more detail about that here in the state of California. Finally here, and I could have started our conversation here, Dorsey Nunn. I love the title. When it first came across my desk, it just grabbed my attention. What kind of bird can't fly? Unpack that title for me.
Hey, you know, I think that all birds can fly. You know, the ostrich just didn't show up. They probably caught the United Airlines. And the penguins just didn't show up either, you know. Yeah. So I know that, most of the people say, what kind of bird can't fly is a jailbird. So at a certain point, you can't throw away millions of people and not expect that you throw away brilliance and genius that can help the community. You know, so at this point, when most people talk to me, I didn't actually put into play re-enfranchising hundreds of thousands of people getting out of prison and incorporated in terms of and help passing the right to vote while people on the parole, the right to vote while they're in the county jail, all of that stuff. And all of that is helpful to everybody else. Yes. I've also founded East Palo Alto, where I stay at, was named the murder capital of the United States. And so what I did was help build a program called Free at Last, because what we was having was a crack epidemic. And what I wanted to do was to offset the violence in our community by withdrawing, making people so dependent on crack, and that's been in existence in 30 years. So like what bird can't fly, when I think about Desmond Meade, that incorporated voting rights, re-enfranchised voting rights in Florida. When I think about Norris Henderson, that actually did the old Jim Crow, and when they was in Louisiana, that people would only need 10 people to have a guilty verdict. Norris had to implemented a law in Louisiana that they had to have a unanimous decision. Yeah. So you could have brothers coming home that they've been sitting up there reading for years and years and years. How are y'all going to actually embrace us in a real way?
No,
because some parts of that, probably the last thing I want to say, my grandkids and my kids taught me the difference between regret and remorse.
Oh, man.
I regretted the crime that I participated before the echo of the room left.
But remorse is something totally different. That's something I told you. I wish I had. Now you get me going. You get me. You go philosophical on me in the last 30 seconds. I ain't got time to unpack it. Regret and remorse are not the same thing. I hear your point, Dorsey Nunn. We got to continue this. His name is Dorsey Nunn. The book is called What Kind of Bird Can't Fly? A memoir of resilience and resurrection. I love his passion. Michelle Alexander says, you've long been an inspiration to me, Dorsey. Thank you for this remarkable book. Check it out for yourself. What Kind of Bird Can't Fly? I'm out of time. Back here tomorrow. Until then, thanks for listening. As always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Harvey Weinstein is scheduled to be back in a New York City courtroom today as prosecutors seek a retrial on rape and sex assault charges. A